Anyways, I want to welcome everyone out there. This is Dr. Mandel with my special guest, Dr. Ariel Soffer, a cardiologist, board certified, as well as a heart specialist. Today's program is strictly about olive oil, the potentially the extra virgin olive oil we'll be talking about. Doc, I want to say thank you for being here with us, and just maybe a brief little quick intro on yourself before we get involved with our chatters.
All right. Well, I hope you all can hear me pretty well. I'm sorry about whatever that was, but we got it working, it seems now. I'm a cardiologist. I've been doing this about 25 years. I am super into the nutritional part of cardiology as well as health and wellness, almost as well as you, Dr. Mandel. You're one of the greats, and we have been focusing on that in our practice for probably the bulk of that 20 years, including some of the other things we do in general cardiology, like some of the circulatory problems and so forth. I've also been the ABC News medical expert for some time, and I had my own television program, not as worldwide viewed as yours, but we had a nice ABC News program called Dr. Soffer's Second Opinion, where I was able to take questions from folks through the years and sort of disseminate as much knowledge as possible to those who are interested.
Well, we got quite a big audience out there right now, Doc. We have almost 600 people just starting, which is a real big turnout. And we appreciate all the people out there. Portugal, all the way from Ghana, as you can see here, from the UK, just from Sydney, Australia. We thank you so much for being out here. Let's first start on something very important. We also want to say hello to those in Ethiopia tuning in with us, Doc. So we definitely have the people from all over, as well as Vienna, and as well as Greece, as well as Australia here, back again to Jamaica. We just want to say hello, India. But Doc, I first want to start out talking about the most important thing right here. We're looking at all the different brands of olive oil out there. And obviously, this is something that we really need to be aware of when it comes down to which is the best olive oil. This is something that, we really need to understand, that olive oil is just not like all olive oils. Different kinds of olive oils work better, and particularly from the Mediterranean health style. We don't just say diets, because we don't want to talk about diets. We want to talk about ways of life, ways of eating, and ways of healing and repairing our body. Extra virgin, cold pressed extra virgin olive oil is up your alley.
Yeah, it's, there's a great couple of studies. It was first the Predimed study, and then came, there was a Lion study before that, and a bunch of good Harvard studies before that showed, listen, if you take a good extra virgin olive oil, so the first stuff that comes out of the batch, it has basically none of the preservatives in it. It has all the best antioxidants that come with it. So more than the others, and the best ratio of monounsaturated fat to polyunsaturated fat, and certainly to saturated fat. So the best ratio of stuff comes out of that extra virgin olive oil. I never know why they actually use the word extra virgin, why they have to make that term, but it's the best and the finest stuff. And at the end of the day, the studies are very clear that if you use that and have as little as half a tablespoon a day, half a tablespoon, I mean, that is tiny. Put that into a salad, put that into whatever you're eating, a little piece of toast, that can reduce stroke by almost half, 40%, almost to be exact. So imagine that.
Yeah, when we look at this, we're looking at the monounsaturated fat. The majority, 73% makeup, is the oleic acid. The oleic acid has been known through study after study when it's reducing inflammation. And it's inflammation, Doc. Now, you're a cardiologist. You deal with arteries and veins. Arteries meaning blood circulation from the heart into the body, and the veins is the return of that blood back to the heart, correct? Yes. So with that, and we've discussed this before, with that roundabout cycle that you talked about, how it's a whole big cycle, a big circle. Based on what people have talked about with cholesterol. Now, cholesterol back in the 80s the numbers were so much higher according to the standards as what they are now. All right, now I won't go into the pharmaceutical end of it. We won't talk about that. But tell me if I'm right or wrong. Would you agree that the majority of heart disease is based more on inflammation than cholesterol?
So I would agree with that. There's a couple of good markers that we have. So really what we know that causes heart attack and stroke are blockages, right? And the question is, how do we find out about those blockages? Is it by a marker that we call cholesterol, or is it a marker that we call inflammatory markers, CRP being one of them? So the data is suggesting more and more that the inflammation part of it, meaning basically like a bruise in the artery, is what's actually the problem, just as much as what's already there, the plaque that's in the artery. So they're both very important, and being able to reduce both of them, extra virgin olive oil has been proven, not studied, not thought of, not maybe, but proven time and time again to, if you get that into your diet, particularly if you're substituting it for saturated fat, because saturated fat does the opposite. It increases the inflammation and it increases the cholesterol.
All right. So we have unsaturated fat. We have saturated fat. So for educational purposes, a person in a house that sees something, a fat that hardens at room temperature versus something that's liquid at room temperature, that should be the golden rule. The golden rule. We're not talking about something that's heated, not like chicken soup where it's liquid. Then when it cools off, that cold chicken fat, saturated fat comes at the top. Obviously, that's the saturated fat. So a golden rule is at room temperature, if one hardens and one doesn't, I would think that's a good educational point for the consumer out there.
Dr. Mandel, that is why I love working with you, because I can sit and tell patients all day long about the Harvard study and the Predimed and this, but when you make it practical the way you do, people can use it. And that's what we're all trying to do, right? Is to get this information out to people to use. That's a great way of looking at it.
All right, what I want to do, Doc, I want to keep this program really moving, and I want to keep it exciting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share the invite, and we're going to bring people up on the panel that's going to speak like we are right now. It's going to ask us questions. All right? So I just sent the invite to you guys. You can check the invite if you'd like to come up on the panel with me and Dr. Soffer. We will let you ask a couple of your questions, but keep it real quick. The answers will be about 30 seconds. We need to move real quick because we don't have a lot of time here. Doc, question. Journey says coconut oil hardens. We hear different controversial things about the saturated fat in organic coconut oil. Now, let me tell you just my quick thought, not even about coconut oil. I'm a big believer, from my background, anything in a whole state, anything that hasn't been processed or refined, even like a whole egg, they found that even people who eat eggs, many eggs a day, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have high blood cholesterol. From the food, the cholesterol in the food generally has no direct correlation to blood cholesterol. What's your opinion on that?
So yeah, it's a great point. The truth of the matter is, and it is very important for people to understand that saturated fats may be the only thing that's going to increase cholesterol. The other thing you can do a lot of damage by eating a lot of poor substances. And the old adage that if bad food can make you sick, which we all know, right? You eat something bad makes you sick. Can't good food make you healthy? And that's sort of circling back to extra virgin olive oil. That is the good food that can make you healthy. Now, particularly if you're substituting it for other bad food, such as things that have the saturated fat in them, like a food that's been cooked in, the palm oils, the coconut oils, things like that. Not to be confused, by the way, with say coconut water, right? Not everything about a coconut is bad.
Yeah.
The type of fat and the organic components that are within it, the organic chemistry that goes within it to make it worsen your cholesterol status.
By the way, the best, as someone was asking the question, extra virgin olive oil, cold press extra virgin olive oil, we believe are the best things that you should be supplementing with. Doc, we have people in our in the room here. We're going to go ahead and connect with Camille. Let's see what we can do here. 1 second. See if we can bring him in. Camille and Smart, we have someone else. We will take it. Camille, what's your question, my friend?
Hi. Firstly, thank you for this lovely live. I've been following you for the past year for many reasons, one of which is glaucoma, and I'm very enlightened by the information you share on your channel. Thank you. Actually, I have a question that's not related much to your topic, but it's about olive oil. Firstly, a lot of the things you've been mentioning about olive oil, we've known back here in the Middle East for some time, but I don't know why doctors haven't brought it up before. So I agree with the part where you mentioned olive oil is very beneficial and reduces cholesterol. And it's very well known, and I mean, it's very well used for other purposes like medications, or even boiling some olive oil and putting it on the skin for inflammation.
Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Lebanon, Beirut.
Nice. Yeah, real quick. What's your question, real quick? We have to move quick.
I'd like to know if there are any, if olive oil can help in any way by reducing possibly eye pressure, or can it help in any way for people with glaucoma? I know it's not related to cholesterol, but yeah, maybe you might know something about it.
Doc, any questions with that? Any answer to give that?
Yeah, but it's a really good question, Kamal. I don't know the answer specifically when it comes to glaucoma, but I will tell you, I do know the answer when it comes to things like regulating blood sugar, regulating weight loss. There's actually great data to say that people that are on the Mediterranean diet, which is more of a lifestyle than just purely a diet, that they get more weight loss eating the same amount of calories. They get absolutely less diabetes and absolutely less than stroke and heart disease, based on, we've called it the lubricant of the circulatory system. That extra virgin olive oil, just like it is an oil, can actually be like to figuratively thinking of it as a lubricant of the circulatory system. Now, we know with glaucoma, when it comes to pressure and the lubrication that's in the eyes, that it stands to reason it would be helpful, but I don't know that that's ever been looked at. Yeah, so good question.
Yeah, I would just tell you from the oleic acid that has the antioxidant oleocanthal. It's a major anti-inflammatory. So theoretically, every disease and every condition to the body, I think Doc would agree with this, is related to inflammation somewhere along the line. So you're smiling at me. Somewhere along the line, it's related to inflammation. If it's heart disease, if it's diabetes, if it's cancer, if it's gastritis, if it's
I would have to bet, Dr. Mandel, that you're correct, and that the inflammation, there's different types of glaucoma. That's why I'm hesitating on saying Kamal, because there's narrow angle glaucoma.
Correct.
Types of glaucoma.
Yeah.
But I bet you're correct that is true. I'd love to see some of the studies. And Kamal, I think the better thing for you is to make sure that it's there. I'm sure, listen, you're probably getting it in the hummus, that is eaten particularly frequently anyways. But make sure that you get good extra virgin.
Recommend all listeners, sorry to barge in, I strongly recommend all listeners who are watching this live to include olive oil in most of their diet, whether it's salads, Caesar salads, tabbouleh, not just anything. Even if you can just put a teaspoon, if you put a teaspoonful of olive oil and you swallow it in your mouth, it will regulate also your body, and it will reduce the cholesterol levels and all the fats. This is from personal experience. I'm not, but
thank you so much, Camille. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and bring real quick, Angela. You have a quick question for us. Hello there. You can unmute yourself there. You got to unmute yourself.
Hi. I was wondering, I notice when my potassium goes down, my blood pressure goes really high. I don't understand how come
Here's the man that can answer that for you. Doc?
Okay.
So, the kidney very closely regulates the blood pressure. People think the blood pressure is all really coming from the heart. Really, the kidney is just, if not more involved. And the pumps in the kidney that move out potassium in favor of sodium that kind of make your blood pressure high. So that's a very common situation that we see. It's not the potassium itself is a marker, typically in your case, probably for your kidney function. So I would definitely make sure you get that kidney function assessed, because that's usually what the problem, could be.
Okay. Because they keep trying to put me on blood pressure medication, but that just makes me ill.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Nephrologist is the type of doc that works with the kidney, and you should ask to see one of those.
Yeah,
So,
nephrologist. I agree.
Nephrologist?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
God
you
bless
very
you,
much.
sweetheart. God bless you. Okay, Nat, you have a quick question for us. She's got to unmute herself there. Nat, you can unmute yourself. Okay, I guess she's having a hard time. We'll go ahead and we'll let her go. Doc, yeah, that I think that was important. The other question here. Here is something that someone mentioned: marijuana good for glaucoma. I'm not going to go that route. I'm not going to go that route with you today. How much olive oil should you be taking? Dr. Soffer was mentioned even a half of tablespoon. You mentioned. Is that what you mentioned, Doc?
yeah. So the largest studies show that upwards from a half a tablespoon a day. What they really did is they gave these folks like one of these like liter bottles and saw how they got rid of it in the course of a month. But when they go back and they cut it up, it's at least half a tablespoon a day seems to be the right number to get you probably a 20% reduction in strokes, 40% reduction in strokes, 20% in heart attacks, coronary artery disease, all the things we're worried about with the heart. So once you go up from that, usually it taps out at about 2 tablespoons a day. And then you've got to start being a bit careful. As you know, Alan, there's still calories in any oil.
Yeah.
But 2 tablespoons a day seems to be kind of that perfect number. But half a tablespoon, for those who don't love it, is a minimum number.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what I love about I'm saying apple cider vinegar. They know I'm crazy with apple cider vinegar. With olive oil, I've been taking this for years, and I go through my spurts. I'll go on it, get off, go back on. But if any of you guys and girls, or ladies and gentlemen, are constipated, if you notice that things are not really moving real well, I will tell you that olive oil will cause peristalsis. It will cause that intestines to start to twine and move and start to push through where you don't get that stagnation of your fecal material. So I would also recommend drinking a lot of water with that, but that is another great benefit. And yes, it's known to lower high blood pressure, Doc. In many conditions, people seem to do well with this. Let's go to Rehoboth. Rehoboth, you there? Hello there. Okay, she was there. Okay, let's go ahead and I will post one more time the invite if you'd like to come up and talk with us. We are, Doc, we are almost 1,100 people right now in the chat room, over 1,000. And we are about 23 minutes in, and we will continue to go forward as we have questions. Let's go through a couple of the questions here, Doc, and I will see if I can bring up a couple of things. Here's Florida Gal. Eat canned sardines. They have the best omega-3s, and make sure it is in water or olive oil. You like sardines, Doc? We're losing you. I don't hear you.
You don't hear me?
Now I hear you. Now I hear you.
I love sardines. I particularly love anchovies. Any of those, any fish. I mean, omega-3s that come particularly from fish are the best, sort of fatty acids we can have. And omega-6s, not quite as good as omega-3s. There's really nothing better than getting natural omega-3s that way, even better than the pills of fish that you get, the fish oil pills that a lot of people take. It's still better, and the studies suggest that you are better off eating the actual fish than taking just purely the oil. So when you can, I'm taking my sardines, I'm taking my anchovies as best I can.
Doc, I want to say something really important because part of this program is about cleaning arteries, cleansing arteries, have a healthy heart, getting the right oxygen to all the cells of the body. But the three biggest killers today, obesity, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure goes hand in hand, as well as diabetes. We hear that over and over and over. And there's one thing I want to mention about the extra virgin olive oil. One, it has tremendous effects when it comes to increasing insulin sensitivity. So for those people who are insulin resistant, I would definitely recommend olive oil because the studies are right here. I'm looking at it right here. And the other thing, for obesity, what do I love about olive oil is that because it's a healthy fat, it actually gives you satiety. So it keeps you full to keep you from overeating. What's your opinion on that?
I think you're 100% correct. There's actually studies showing that people would take purely extra virgin olive oil as a satiety measure. You know, in some cultures, they give it routinely for people they think that need to lose weight. You know, listen, it's been clear the Mediterranean diet that uses a lot of extra virgin olive oil as its sort of fat source not only reduces cancer and stroke and heart attack, but those people that ate the same exact amount of calories. So you eat 2,000 calories a day, but you have extra virgin olive oil in it versus those who had other fat sources like that come from animals, particularly the butters, the same calories, the same exercise, they gained more weight than those that had the extra virgin olive oil. So there's something in it that probably helps our entire digestive system. A lot of people think it's the gut bacteria and the way it acts on the gut bacteria to reduce not only the weight, meaning helping you lose weight, but also to keep you away from H. pylori, the famous bacteria that probably causes certain types of stomach cancer. So the benefits, just the more we read about it, the more we study, the more they come through. Let me see if I can adjust this already because.
Yeah. So I also want to mention, we talk about all these different ailments, but there are so many studies the more I kind of dwell into the research, the antioxidants and the oleic acid, it has an effect on reducing the oxidative damage of the free radicals. Now, for people who do not know what free radicals are, can you imagine, just imagine taking an apple out there, opening the apple up, and as oxygen hits that apple, it starts to turn brown. It's kind of like, putting a key in a lock and leaving it out on a beach. The antioxidants or those free radicals are actually going to cause rust. So we need antioxidants. And the more antioxidants we have, the more we fight these free radicals. And obviously, the more we can reduce inflammation, the more we can reduce cancer, and obviously have better health. Let's go ahead back to row have both over here. Hi, sweetheart. What's your quick question? How are you? Where you calling from?
I am calling from Texas. Today is my first day to join. Thank you, Dr. Mandel. I've been following you for 2 years. So my question today is, I was diagnosed with H. pylori 3 years ago, and it does lots of damage. So after that, I've been having heart palpitation so many times in my life. And then I go to heart doctor all the time, and then we do the echocardiogram test, we do stress test, it's all normal. They don't figure out what happening, and I'm taking flexinomide and metoprolol, but doesn't help. So if you can help me with my question, please.
Well, Doc can maybe mention it. Doc, you can bring your head up a little bit if you can, but otherwise you can go. We still see you. We don't want you falling off the screen. A beautiful baby there, sweetheart. Doc, go ahead. You're on.
Gorgeous child, gorgeous lady. So in the end, the H. pylori, that can cause all sorts of stomach problems. It was the reason that we all learned about with stomach ulcers and so forth. So it's very important to have eradicated the H. pylori. But what can sometimes happen, and we've seen this happen, and I can't say specifically for you because you are on medications that reduce your blood pressure, reduce your heart rate. But palpitations are a funny thing. Some persons' palpitations can mean a fluttering in their chest, right? And other people, it can actually be a sign of something as simple as reflux. Now, someone who comes to me and would say, I have an H. pylori, and I have palpitations, I'd want to really know, is the palpitation that you're having from the heart? And if so, you should have a fast heart rate. And if you don't have a fast heart rate, it may not be a palpitation. And you can figure that out in one way. And I don't want to get this on camera, but the Apple Watch or any of these watches, I have nothing to do with Apple, but they actually take an EKG now. And you can basically find out specifically, is your heart going fast when you're having the palpitation? So if your heart is going fast when you're having the palpitation, it's a palpitation, meaning above 100 usually if you're not exercising. If, however, your heart's in a normal range, but you feel like your heart's racing, then it's usually not the heart. So in your case, you look like you got your hands full, both figuratively and literally, and that could make you have palpitations, which may or may not be related to the heart. You don't want to go on a medication until you've proven it.
Yeah. All right, sweetheart. Hopefully that was good information for you. Thank you so much for being here with us, and God bless you. Keep loving that baby now.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay. Doc, we're doing great. We're moving quick. We're over 1,200 in the chat room. Let's go ahead for a few questions in the chatters. We'll see if we can bring them up. You can go ahead and leave your couple of questions out there. Doc, here is Liberty 309. Is K2 safe for people on blood thinners? You talk about vitamin K2. A little bit off the topic here. I really don't know if you want to answer these kind of questions without knowing the history.
Definitely don't want to answer them regarding a person's specific issues, but suffice it to say that there's two types of blood thinners these days. There's the old one, which is the Coumadin, which is the old rat poison that we used to use, that we still have to use on folks. And people with vitamin K of any sort need to be careful because it counteracts what we call Coumadin. So you got to be careful for those. I mean, you can regulate that, and there are still people that can have a little bit of salad that has vitamin K and a blood thinner, but they have to be very careful and monitor it every day. And then there's the new kinds of blood thinners that doesn't matter. So you have to know which kind. I'm not going to answer too specifically.
Pertaining to Emma here, here's a little question. I want to bring this into play because so many people drink coffee today. What's your opinion? Because now, from my research, the antioxidants in coffee are phenomenal, particularly for the liver and for other particular organs within the body. But obviously, we're looking at caffeine here. So what type of coincidence or conditions or situations can people arise from drinking coffee with your heart?
Well, from coffee for the heart, it's actually, most of the news is really good. Most of coffee data suggests that it makes you, actually your heart and your body live a bit longer. That has been pretty clear, particularly with with high quality coffee. That being said, coffee has caffeine, and anything that has caffeine, it can increase heart rates, usually not to a negative amount, but if your heart is susceptible, you're susceptible, it's called an arrhythmia or a fast heart rate, then that could be a problem for you. So I think it's pretty much everything in moderation. It seems like anywhere under, say, 4 cups a day, believe it or not, seems like a big number, is probably pretty safe, unless you have certain heart conditions that are triggered by the caffeine. And in that case, go decaffeinated.
Yeah. The question here, here you go. Will olive oil help with plaque? Absolutely. I mean, basically the whole purpose of olive oil is obviously if we increase, I'm talking some cardiology, or you can kind of comment on this, but where I come off on something like this is that if olive oil, let's say, can lower your bad cholesterol and raise your good cholesterol, I'm just looking at it from this perspective, raise your HDLs. The purpose of HDLs is to search for those bad cholesterols, bring them back to the liver to help excrete it out of the body. So theoretically, if someone is taking a monounsaturated, or maybe even a polyunsaturated fat versus a saturated fat, the odds of causing clogging with that oil is minimal. How do you want to answer that question?
So the best studies were done by a guy that I actually got to know, a guy by the name of Dean Ornish out of the University of California in San Francisco. And he was pretty clear that following a Mediterranean sort of style of lifestyle diet, and including lifestyle. He added yoga, he added meditation, but he also was a plant-based guy, scientist, by the way, from one of the top medical schools in the country. And he showed that, yeah, it could regress the plaques. So you go with that, you can actually take a clotted artery and make it less clotted. So very important data, and it takes a lot of discipline, but it can be done.
Yeah, let me tell you something about Dr. Soffer. Here's a man, a gentleman, we'll say, who has spent numerous years inside people's arteries, hearts. You've done all that heavy-duty stuff in the hospitals, gowning yourself with lead, trying to keep that radiation out of you by saving lives, by opening up arteries. You have seen just about everything. So when someone has clogging of the arteries, all right, this is a combination of many things: calcium, plaquing of maybe cholesterol, other minerals. What is it that you see more often that people get from either bad saturated fats, from trans fats, from stress, too much cortisol? There are many factors that can lead to this. Obviously, when I look at extra virgin olive oil and we look at how it can regress from the way I interpret it, is that it reduces inflammation and it helps the body repair, because the body is a repairing organism. But what can you say to these people right out here right now? We have almost 1,300 people listening to you right now. What you're looking at that they can't see, that you see continuously over the years, what are you looking at that they don't know about?
Well, that's a great question, Alan. And geez, I'd love to one day. We have this little podcast, the Simple MD podcast. I'd love to bring you onto that podcast where we can talk about this for probably hours, because one of the things that you say to me is about this 360 degrees of circulation, where the body is in this continuous train track of motion, both putting the blood to the organs and taking it away. And all that time, there's a little bit of residue left. And that little bit of residue, if it's circulating well with a lot of good food, good substances, particularly extra virgin olive oil is the one we've been able to study. But if you're able to do that, you're able to see that little bit of residue is building up in us as we age. And so through my many years of sort of plumbing the arteries, we realize that you can't just go in one area and plumb an area and think that it's not in the legs, or an artery going to the brain, or to the eye, or to the feet. So we have to realize that all we're doing is putting Band-Aids on by opening those arteries. But it's guys, professionals like you, Alan, that sort of look at the body as a whole and say, let's start following these habits, the habits of better living, to stop these little plaques, or at least slow them down, so we can live in our bodies longer and healthier, with all of our extremities getting the proper blood flow.
Yeah, thank you. That was beautifully said. What we're going to do here is that we are going to wind the program down. We are going to ask you out there outside the United States where you are tuning in from. As I like to show Dr. Soffer, we have such a loyal audience out there, beautiful people. We're about almost 1,400 people in our chat room, which is quite a few people, Doc. And I think that the content that we gave them is excellent. And again, this will be on a channel where they can go back and listen to it and share it with others. But where are you tuning in from, guys? And we're going to let Dr. Soffer know how loved he is right now from all the way from South. You're just going to read it yourself, Doc, because they're coming faster than I can click it. All right.
Wow,
so you can just go ahead and just to show you around the world where people are listening in, trying to get the great information here in the United States to try to help save lives, keep people healthy. And I ask you to share these videos out there, because these videos can really help a lot of people out there. South Carolina. Doc, they're coming from all over the place. South Australia.
Amazing.
Yeah. Just to let you know here.
Your ability.
Kumusta, we want to say Kumusta out there to the Philippines. All right. I spent a lot of time out there working with the children. all the way in Mexico. Here's Africa for you, Doc, back in Japan, back in here, just to show you out there.
It's amazing, really, Alan. Not
Somalia.
only the folks that follow you are so hungry to hear your interpretation of what can be relatively complicated out there, but it doesn't matter where they're from. When you make it sort of more understandable and relatable, I think people can take this information and change lives.
Well, you know, these programs, Doc, is all about changing lives. We change one life, we've done a blessing. And you know what? It's all about love, too. As people are always in the comments, I'm reading them over and over, and I can't put all the comments up there. But it's all about helping other people's lives, giving them love, and that we care about them. Because a lot of people out there, Doc, don't have the resources, the medical resources, the financial resources to be able to see doctors like other countries and other cities around the world. So as we continue to, you know, educate them, hopefully we can, you know, really make a big change in their lives as well as their families' lives, because, you know, it's all about love and having good health. Because as we say, you can have all the money in the world, but without good health, you can't spend it. So anyways, Doc, I want to just, as we summarize right here, I want to thank you for a very valuable show that we put out there you know, I want to say hello, by the way, out there to Pakistan. They're coming through quick, and I just want to acknowledge them. I thank all of you people out there, truly from my heart, that you really took the time and stuck with us the whole time. It's been 40 minutes in the program. We will put this back. And again, I will link up the Simple MD, the YouTube, as well as the website, simplemd.com. We will put that in the description below. Doc, I want to thank you again for such a great program. And I want to just say blessings to all of our listeners out there. And just keep up the good work. Stay proactive. We'll keep bringing you great information for you, your loved ones. We love you very much. And please share this video with your friends and family. God bless.